Let's look at this. Diablo 4 quarterly update, December 2020. Hello and welcome once again to the Diablo 4 quarterly update for our last for 2020. Progress on the game continues at a steady clip, and we're excited about several big updates and revisions that the teams worked on for a long time that we're trying to complete before the holidays. Today's topic centers on one such major revision, which also happens to be the most requested topic for this year: itemization. Fucking Jesus, there's like a hair on the microphone that is tickling my nose. There, I got it. Okay. Items are the lifeblood of Diablo. Yes, they are. They are the element of the game that captures your imagination and keeps you playing and wondering, what if? It's like an addiction. It's crack. After you put the game down, whether it's anticipating the next piece of perfectly rolled godly gear or kicking around item combinations in your head like the mad scientist you are, items are undoubtedly a major part of what makes Diablo so compelling and so different from other games. Understanding how important it is to get itemization right, we paid special attention to early player feedback about this part of the game. We knew that many more iterations awaited between what we showed you at BlizzCon 2019, our follow-up blogs, and the final game release. We also knew from past Diablo entries that we will need to have the time and resources to make these iterations. Thankfully, we have baked into our current schedule. Getting all your feedback encourages us to move some of that iteration time forward so that we could get our newest direction in front of you sooner. Lead game designer Joe Shelley is going to walk us through our major itemization updates today. We've revised every aspect of itemization from top to bottom and reworked elements that we felt weren't living up to their potential. From the individual stats that our classes tap into, to the visual representation of items in your inventory. Of course, it's still early and we still have lots more playtesting and iterating to do, but we think this direction puts us down a more solid foundational path, and we couldn't be happier to share it with you today. What am I reading exactly? Okay, fuck it. I don't care about their explanation anymore. I'm done. I want to read what they actually did. Today we're going to look at some changes in two items in Diablo 4, and update you on a few things we've shared in our previous development blogs. In deciding what changes to make, we focused on these three core ideas. First, we want to strengthen class identity by providing intuitive fantasy hooks, items, and skills that lean into the fantasy of your class are best. Second, we want to support a deeper customization through our itemization. I hope that's fucking true, because they said that with Diablo 3 and it was a bunch of bullshit. Items should support and enhance your class, not define it. Diablo 3 said they had like millions of combinations, and you have like fucking one per class. It's like, this is the best build. Get these fucking set pieces because they're overpowered as fuck, and this is what you have to have. It's pretty basic. Finally, we're landing on overall depth somewhere between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. I'm already getting kind of nervous about that one. We aim to provide years of things to discover and countless ways to build a class. Diablo 3 is fun, but it has no depth. Diablo 2 was fun. It had some depth. Diablo 2 didn't even have crazy depth. I actually would like a fucking game from Blizzard, like a new ARPG, that has even more depth than Diablo 2 had. So the fact that they say between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, we'll see. We shall see. I'm still excited to play it. I don't care. I'm still going to play it, but... yeah, Diablo 3 had no depth at all. Realistically. The game was like copy pasta. Just copy the one build everyone thinks that's OP, and that's just everyone does one build. Since releasing the last quarterly blog post on the skill tree, we've been reviewing all of our feedback. Our team has also had a lot of hands-on time with our skill trees and frequent internal playtests, including an extended progression playtest. Based on this, we're confident that it's a solid direction, so we're going to iterate on it and make further improvements. For example, we're increasing the clustering of related skill nodes so players don't have to go across the tree to find upgrades for their builds. The ability to respecialize or respec your skills is a tricky one to balance. Like many of you, we want choices to matter and characters to feel different from each other, not just one click away from being identical to all others. That's good. I'm glad they think that way. because that's literally Diablo 3. The game is fun for like 2 weeks or 1 week, and then you just realize, you don't realize, you just know everyone is like the same except for Paragon level. Like, how much do you fucking play the game? How much do you grind? We also want to encourage players to experiment with different skills when we start playing and discover builds that are right for them. In Diablo 4, you will be able to respec your skills and passives. The number of times you can do this will be unlimited, but it won't be free. That's fine. I don't give a shit. That's fine. That sounds good to me. I play hardcore anyways, so if I die, then I have to get all the shit anyways. I feel like that's the punishing aspect of the game, so I don't really care. It'll be easy to do when you first start a character. As your character grows, the effort and cost required to respec will grow too. Okay, that's actually a punishing way to do it too. Like, you can't do it permanently forever. It eventually will become too expensive to do it, and you just got to make a new character then. I think that's fine. It's probably less time investing than making a new character every time, so I think that's fine. In the end game, changing your build will require significant investment to appropriately match the time and effort you've put into defining your character. Primary stats. In our last blog, we agreed with your feedback that too much of a character's power came from the items that they wore, and we liked the imagery conjured by the phrases angelic power and demonic power, but they reinforced the fantasy of what being a barbarian, a sorcerer, and a druid is all about. So we went back to our roots and looked at the classic RPG elements of early Diablo games. What are you really doing when you wade through a horde of monsters and emerge at a higher level on the other side? You're training, you're practicing a skill, you're getting better at what you do, becoming stronger and smarter. After getting a level, our barbarian has received 5 stat points and 2 skill points to spend. I can't make this bigger. I want to, like, oh, yes, I can. Okay, so that's what the UI looks like. I think it looks fine. It looks pretty clean. It looks like they have a crafting tab for inventory. They have a quest tab for inventory. They have an equipment tab for inventory, and they have, what does that say? Mount? You have mounts in this game? I don't really, that's fine with me. That's very interesting that they added in mounts into Diablo 4. I like the tabs though. That's a cool idea for inventory management. I think inventory management is one of the most annoying things in Diablo 3. Like, having a fucking full inventory of charms and then having to, like, put every item you find in, like, a cube or some shit. Or, like, only in, like, a 2x4 grid spot. That's kind of annoying. So I kind of like this. And it's also, I think it's better that they have an inventory that looks like this if crafting is going to be part of this game. I think crafting is a cool concept, like in Path of Exile. So that's kind of cool. They didn't have strength, int, will, and dex in the last update. Those stats are new. That's good. I don't remember what they had in the original. I just remember they had, all they had before that I remember is they had attack and defense. That was it. It was super fucking basic. That's cool. I like the fucking more customization of, like, I think I will say this, having skill points like this is so fucking important because it makes you actually min-max your character, and min-maxing your character feels so fucking good if you are a tryhard. So that's super good that they did that. It just makes your character a little bit stronger if you know what you're doing. When you get a level, you'll receive points to spend in strength, intelligence, dex, or willpower. Along with your skill points, of course, most barbarian builds are going to benefit from a healthy measure of strength. But as you build your character and decide on what skills and synergies you'll want to mix in with other attributes. As a barbarian, each point of strength will increase the damage of your skills, while willpower improves fury generation. Okay, that's kind of cool. They have, like, stats like WoW. Dex grants critical strike chance. Meanwhile, as a sorceress, this is actually pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie, that is fucking badass. That actually, legit, adds so much more fucking depth to customization than fucking anything they've said before. Because it's not just like, well, this piece of gear costs 48 strength to wear. So if you want to min-max and only go to 48, well, you can wear this gear that you're looking for and then move on from other stats that are going to give you more health or something like that. But that's pretty fucking cool. That you can also change the way your character runs by building a crit build or building a fucking resource generator build or building a super defensive build. That's fucking pretty badass. Or a straight up raw damage build. That's actually super fucking cool. That is actually the coolest change I've heard ever since they announced this game right there. That's fucking badass. That's really cool. I like that a lot. That's like massive, right? They should have put that shit in fucking bold text. That is so important. And I feel like some people might just skim over that. Meanwhile, as the sorcerer's intelligence increases skill damage, willpower grants critical chance, dexterity hastens mana recovery. Each stat also confers a secondary defensive bonus. That's really cool. I think that's actually really fucking sick. Because you can actually not only customize your character's gear with this, but like you already could before in Diablo 2, which I think is already a good thing to do. That's where min-maxing comes in. But now you can actually customize your playstyle based on if you want to be a fucking like a slow, like heavy fucking hitter, or like something that's just really fast and agile, like a fucking ninja or something that's just very fast and gets around quickly, but like just doesn't hit very hard. But it, you know, you can build around it and you can fine tune it to a point where it's just like perfect, where you can kill fast and efficiently. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a great change. That's a super cool change. I hope to God they leave it in the. I hope they don't remove that from the game and go, this is too complex, because that adds so much customization. I want to look at this in a higher, so like bigger zoom in. So they still have the attack and defense fucking things, which I think is kind of basic. I don't know. I would prefer them to make that more specific, but if they keep it that way, it's not the end of the world. I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. That's more for like, it's easier for casual players to understand if this is just better or worse. For like, if they just, because the thing is, sometimes there is something in your build that doesn't get calculated into attack, like let's say resource generation, and sometimes that will increase your damage because it makes your damage go off more often, but it doesn't get calculated into attack. Attack is literally just like strength means damage, damage means attack, attack goes up. But in reality, it might not synergize with your build as good as something else. So for a casual fucking player, all you do is you base it off of this and you go, attack up, good, I wear that. But if you know what you're doing, and they actually have ways to customize, you know, more in depth as to what you're doing, then that's super cool. So, like, you don't have to just base it off of attack if you're a good player. But yeah, well, it's kind of basic the way it looks, but it sounds like it has potential. Right? That actually makes me super excited. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm pretty fucking excited about the idea of the whole crit, the fucking damage, and the resource gained. And now they also have, you have dodge chance. You have healing received, which is probably, I imagine that is from life regeneration, life leech, and also any ability that actually heals your ass. I don't think they're going to make this a traditional game where you have like a healer class. I don't think they're going to do that. I think everyone's going to be self-sufficient, but there might be abilities someone has where it, like, just as a byproduct of using the ability, it has like these heals that also go off on people while it damages something or something like that, like a holy nova or some shit. I don't fucking know, but that's cool. I like that. That's pretty sick. You can supplement your character's stat build with items to give you a little more willpower here, a little more strength there, but the vast majority of your stats will come from how you choose to spend your points. Here's where it gets really interesting. Many of the nodes in each class skill tree have additional effects if you meet specific primary stat thresholds. You'll get baseline effect of these nodes when you spend the skill point to unlock them, but get enough of the corresponding primary stat points and the bonus effect will activate. Okay. Theory cost 10 per second. Rapidly attack nearby enemies for blah 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 damage. Deals physical damage. Whirlwind restores 1 for each time it hits an enemy. Whirlwind upgrade. Whirlwind no longer slows the barbarian movement speed while active. At 150 dex, Whirlwind provides a 3% move speed boost each second while active, stacking up to 15%. At 225 strength and dexterity, Whirlwind provides a 1% critical strike damage per second while active, stacking up to 20%. That is pretty fucking cool. But if they add this kind of shit into the game, yo, Blizzard, this is my opinion. You just had a lot of complexity in the game that still does kind of exist. You had a lot of complexity in the game, in my opinion, a second ago, when you said these stats do bonus things like you know, it gives you more resource generation or whatever, or more crit or things like that. But now I feel like you take it away a little bit. If someone looks at something like this and goes, that's too good to get, so I have to get it. So a way I think you can fix this to make it super badass and cool still is if you allow for a lot of gear in the game to have a lot of stat pushing items. Like this item has plus 22 strength, or this item has plus 17 strength. This item has plus 18 strength. Like I feel like if you actually fine tune it, like your gear to meet these breakpoints, I think that would be cooler as well. And then making every fucking character you build always wear the same one piece of gear, and you always just go for 225 strength and dex because it's going to unlock the OP fucking ability. Because again, this kind of dumbs the game down, I think. Like it's cool. Concept-wise, it's cool, but I think making your stats require to go to it makes it more basic again. Because you just tell people what to do then. You don't let them customize anymore. This is the exact problem with customization, where it seems like you can customize, but when you have an effect that is too good to pass up, it takes away all customization because everyone feels they have to have that or the character sucks. So I would say maybe don't make stat requirements on these, and maybe make it something more specific and something else. Or either that or try very hard to balance these things to make it actually like multiple of them viable and not just one is better than everything else. Because if one is always better than everything else, everybody will do it, and it will be boring, and it will be basic, and everyone will be fucking carbon copies of each other. That's my opinion on that shit. You'll want to think carefully about how to allocate your stat points to activate these effects. Hopefully. Conjure ice blades for 12 seconds that rapidly slash people for blah 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 damage. After applying 75 chill, ice blades are conjured. Ice blades upgrade increases summon duration of your ice blades by 5 seconds, so you make it duration longer. At 140 willpower, ice blades deals additional damage to frozen targets. Yeah, like these seem cool. It seems fucking cool, but I just hope they have. I really, you know what I would say? Blizzard, this is legit. There's 2 ways to fix this, in my opinion, or really 3 ways. So it doesn't turn into a shit system. And you guys can agree with me or disagree with me. Anyone who cares about this. The first way to make sure this is good is have a lot of range of choice. So don't have just like 0 till straight up 140 and then maybe like a 225 and that's it. Don't fucking just have like 1 or 2 choices for each ability and that's all you have. Because if there is ever anything that is just clearly fucking OP, everyone will get it. They will invest everything into it. And then that's just what everyone will do. Because it's OP. So ways to fix this are make a lot of range of choices for a lot of abilities. So someone can get like a tier 2 out of, if there's like 10 tiers per ability, maybe someone wants to go to like the tier 2 of one ability because it seems pretty fucking nice, and they want to go to a tier 5 of another ability, then they want to go to a tier 3 of another ability, and then like a tier 2 of another ability, and like another tier 2 of another ability, and like a tier 8 of another ability. And it's like, this is just fucking really good. And it's not just like they go for a tier fucking, like a max fucking investment in one ability and that's just all they ever do. I feel like that would be one way to fix it. Another way to fix it would be just to give stats, a lot more stats thrown around on your gear. Or have a lot of stats in your level. So like 140 willpower, like 225 dex and strength isn't literally all your stats. Or just make sure you fucking balance it so that there is not every one thing that is just fucking OP. Because there's always something that's OP. It never gets changed for like a year. And then everyone does it and copies it. And then that's all everyone does. And then finally it gets nerfed like a year later. And then there's a new thing that's OP. And then everyone copies it. And that's all everyone does for a fucking year. And then there's a new thing that's OP. And it repeats itself. And by fucking... It's just... There becomes a thing where there's just the build that everyone does. And it's... Okay, well... Every time you see a fucking sorceress, there's a 90% chance he's gonna run the build, because everyone does it. It just makes it boring. So I really hope they balance this really well. Whatever they're gonna do with this looks kind of scary, because this, again, in my opinion, this takes away customization. It does not add to it, if they fuck it up. If they do it right, then it will add customization. But if they fuck it up and make things just clearly overpowered, where like one choice is just better than everything else, it literally takes customization and flushes it down the fucking toilet. Okay, anyways, moving on to the next thing. So that's just risky, is all I'm saying. I hope it's done well, is all I can say. Weapon types. As we hinted in our last blog post, we're making substantial changes to core itemization. We'll start by looking at many different weapons available to classes in Diablo 4. Our weapon types look visually distinct and have meaningful effects on game on gameplay through features like Barbarian's Arsenal. We've also done a lot of work in the game engine to make weapons feel more real and physical, like the Barbarian carving, what the fuck is that word? Trowel? Through? Fucking, what is that? Like, is trowel a word for dirt? Like, I don't know what I'm... Okay, I'll move on. I understand. It's like the Barbarian swipes the floor up of, like, the dirt and grass. Trough? Is it called trough? I don't fucking know. Okay, trough through the ground with their mace during upheaval. I've never read that word. It looks like they just typoed through to me. Okay, yeah, that looks cool. I agree. I think it looks cool. Something was still missing. Wands should be faster than quarter staves, and swords and maces should do different things. To see what... So this is... I think this is fucking super cool again, in my opinion. This is badass. I'll read what that does in a second, but I think that's really cool. Because now it actually creates customization to your item, and I do think that does make sense. To see what feels like in action. I feel like I'm reading this shitty. To see what that feels like in action, we've added weapon speed and inherent characteristics to all weapons in our latest internal test environment. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. I actually like this change. So wand has very fast weapon attack speed, and it gives you critical strike chance. And if this applies to your entire character overall, I think that's really cool. Not just the wand weapon itself. Like I imagine it does apply to your whole character, not just a wand attack. If they have a wand attack. Arcane Embrace, Rare Staff, Resource Regen. Yeah, I think that kind of shit's badass. And then I had this one. I don't know if this is probably randomly rolled. I think these things were like 4% damage, 21 life hit effect, 4% immobilize, 18 intel, 8% crit, and then 18.8 overpower damage. I think these are just item specific things. I do not think these are weapon things, but I do think that the staff and the wand top part, I think these are weapon effects. So that's pretty fucking cool. I like that. That's cool because it actually makes you think about your build more, about what item you want to give your character if you're going to go for like what specific kind of build you're going to run. So that's fucking sick. That adds a lot of theory crafting, I think. That's cool. So far, I'm super happy with what they've said. This is the only part right here that I'm kind of concerned about. This shit. I just hope that they balance it well, is all I can say. And if they do, it's going to be fucking awesome. I think it'll be super cool if they balance this part well. But everything I've read so far already looks very, very cool, except this part's the only part I'm scared about. In terms of, like, if it can ruin the game. but yeah, it looks fucking sick. In general, one-handed weapons excel at letting you attack and reposition quickly, while two-handed weapons deal more damage. You can really feel the differences between them. Yeah, like it's definitely faster or slower, and it makes your character lock longer on the screen to like do the fucking attack. In addition to speed, each type of weapon has an inherent physical characteristic. For shields, this is block value, meaning that any shield you find in Sanctuary is going to have block, in addition to any magical affixes it may have. As physical properties, these traits are consistent across all weapons of the same type and cannot be modified. Yeah, it's cool. I like that. I think that's really cool. I think it makes you have to be more thoughtful about what gear you want to put on your character. So you have like block value for a shield, you have fast weapon attack for a wand, and you have axes are fast. So an axe is just a fast weapon. That's fucking. And then I don't. Maybe axes also make like your enemies bleed. So maybe you'll run a build that's like all about bleed fucking procs and like haste for like bleed fucking tick damage or some shit. You know, that sounds like a badass thing. Like you'd want to make some axe with some build that's just all about like haste or some shit. Like that just sounds cool. I like that. Like who knows what the game's gonna have, but the idea of that sounds pretty cool. Dude, how big is this update? Jesus, I'm not even like halfway through. God damn. Item qualities. We've also made some exciting changes to the game's item qualities. Philosophically, we like the clarity of analysis afforded by clearly understood item tiers. In other words, we think players of all skill levels benefit from not having to scrutinize every single item that drops to see if it might be an upgrade for them. I feel like you should have to go through that to learn the game. But then once you know the game, then you can kind of like just bypass shit really fast. I don't think you can prevent that from happening. Blue magic items are good, but yellow rares are usually better. There's a great feeling of progression when you graduate into items with greater complexity, more powerful effects, and cooler looks as you level up. Okay, this is getting kind of dangerous where they're talking about this, and I'll explain why in a second. The game-changing powers found on the legendary items in Diablo 3 are exciting and offer many possible effects that just aren't possible with regular affixes. That said, we don't want to end up in a place where the right decisions is to ignore every item that doesn't have a glowing orange sky beam. Okay, that's fucking good, because that was exactly where I'm hoping they're not going with that. So we're making a lot of exciting changes here. We're increasing the potential power of individual affixes on magic items. Okay, this is sick. Yeah, this is good. I'm glad they're doing that. We're increasing the maximum number of affixes on rare and better items in the in-game. Legendary affixes now roll randomly. Okay. And unique items will replace mythics. Yeah, that's good. Like one of the most fun things about Diablo 2 when you make a new character is that you feel like there is a chance when you find an item, even when you're in like normal difficulty, that it could be useful on your character on a very, very high in-game character. Like there's a chance. Like you might, like not usually a blue or a fucking yellow item or low level, but like you might find a unique item that's super good. Or like basically the item is not like okay, let me say it like this. I don't want to make it sound confusing because it's hard to explain this if I don't use the Diablo 3 example. So basically, long story short, to not make this convoluted, in Diablo 2, you could find shit all over the game at lower level or high level, and it had the chance to be useful at high level. A chance. Not guaranteed, it was a chance. But in Diablo 3, you had a 0% chance to find anything at low level ever at all that would be useful, and it would only be useful at high level, and that was it. The only exception you could make to that would be if you found a cube slot fucking passive effect that you cubed in your Herodric cube for a passive, because it just goes to the max version of the item. But if it's not that, like if we're talking about wearing the item, it was always a piece of shit. And it made the game super fucking... It made the leveling process of Diablo 3 awful. So all everyone wanted to do was rush through it. And it made also the leveling process of Diablo 3 basically be like, all right, I'm just going to rush you on my character with the Gym of Ease, and you're going to go from level 1 to level 70 in 4 minutes. Okay, cool. So your character's just like, just getting levels like crazy super fast. And you don't even, like, you put 0 fucking brain power into leveling an alt. Like, you don't even give a fuck. You don't care at all. It made you not give a shit. So I really like that they're not going down that road again. And it's a very good change for the game to not base that shit off of Diablo 3. Diablo 3's alt fucking process was the most unintuitive, boring process ever. And you just wanted it to be over as fast as possible. You're just like, get me the fuck out of this because it's a waste of time. Because all you want to do in that game is literally grind Paragon. That's fucking kind of, yeah, that's the... Diablo 3 has its own problems. But Diablo 4, I like that they're doing this. This actually creates, this again, makes for a very potential, very unique in-game. Because if you ever can inspect a character that has a badass rare item, like a rare amulet or like a rare ring or some shit, and you're like, holy fuck, that ring is fucking insane, or that amulet is so good, or whatever item it is. It's just like a really, really good rare item. It's like better than most items in the game. And you're like, dude, that's super good. That item is super unique to that one person. Because it's so rare, legit, to ever drop again with those same stats. Whereas if everybody has the same fucking unique item, it makes it a lot more repetitive. And it makes it a lot more basic. Like, everyone's a circle. Yay. Everyone's the same shape. Like, no one's different than each other. We all can do the same exact build. So having the ability to have rare items actually be worthwhile in the game is very cool. And then also having the ability to have a unique item have randomly rolled modifiers is very cool too, because you might get something that is insanely godly, and you might get something that sucks dick. And the fact that they do that to the game makes the godly items feel fucking godly. It makes them feel like, holy shit, I found that. And you get so fucking excited about it, and you're like, wow, my god, this item is insane. And you just you proudly wear it and you use it and you're super pumped about running your build. It just makes the game way more fucking fun, essentially. So that's this is a super good change to the game again. They actually have real fucking customized items that like can be either garbage or really good. It's not always like, just wear the fucking shiny shit. Good job. You win at life. Okay, next part. You can think of legendary items as rare items with one more affix replaced with a legendary effect. These new legendary affixes work just like regular affixes in that they can roll randomly on a different item and in different slots. Many can be used by any class. Meanwhile, some are specific to a particular class. That's fine. I think that's cool again. They're just adding they're adding randomness to the game. And I think that again adds for a very high level of complexity. Now, here's the only thing I would say. Blizzard, your system with items sounds fucking cool. Really does. I really like it a lot. But for the love of God, you only have to do one thing to make this system badass. Please do this. And anyone who cares, anybody in chat who cares about what I'm talking about, I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably care. If you agree with what I'm about to say, don't put a number in chat yet. But if you, or rather, we'll do emotes, okay? We'll do emotes. Put a ViBE yes in chat if you agree with what I'm about to say. So don't put it yet, but listen to what I'm going to say, and put a ViBE no if you disagree with me, okay? And what I'm going to say is to put a little cherry on top to make this whole item system for Diablo 4 to be perfect. Add fucking trading into the game. Do not have every single item be fucking soulbound like Diablo 3 was. Add trading into the game so that when you have a badass fucking rare item that you find, you can actually trade it to another person. And if here's the little disclaimer here. If somebody does not want to be a part of trading, add in a system where that person can be prestigious, like Path of Exile has, that is SSF. Solo self-found mode, where you only play by yourself and you see what you can do on your own. I think that would be fucking awesome. It's called Real Money Auction House. Do not put a fucking auction house in the game. Do not put an auction house in fucking Diablo. That kind of fucking... You know why you don't want to put an auction house in Diablo? It makes you talk to a computer rather than a person. Trading is so much more enjoyable of an experience when you haggle with somebody than when you just put it into a fucking gold-based or a money-based auction house and you just go, $20. Someone buy it. Like, you don't give a fuck. It puts zero, like, emotion into your character and your items. You just don't give a fuck. Add trading into the game, seriously. Or add an SSF system into the game as well. I think that'd be badass. That does sound very cool. I like the item process they have going on, though. That's super cool. And then uniques. Or rather, hold on, I'll read it first, I guess. We're basically at the end as well, guys. This is the last thing. Unique items are making a comeback in a big way in Diablo 4. We're embracing the fantasy of these build-around items with completely fixed affixes, heavily thematic, and usually class-specific powers and distinctive looks. Okay, so... Okay, this is the scary item. This is the first thing that they've added in that is based off of items that I think I will say the same thing about unique items that I said about this right here, like breakpoints of your stat investments that unlock these like special effects on your skills. Make sure you balance this shit, because that is another thing that takes away customization. It might sound cool, but if these things are too overpowered, if they're too good, everybody's gonna run the same build. Like for instance, because again, they're fixed. They're not random. They're fixed. They're the same thing every time. So if this fucking item here, this Plaguebringer kilt, it's Plaguebringer pants. 46 max life, 11 elite damage reduction, 3.5 potion cooldown, 1 rank to hunt the weak, and your poisons no longer deal damage over time, and instead they do 127% of total damage is dealt to the target when your poisons expire. What if this fucking poison modifier is so brokenly strong that everybody feels like they have to run it or their character sucks? Because every single time someone finds these pants, it's going to have this modifier. So everybody runs this modifier. It means that every character is going to be very similar. So, again, the ways to fix this would be add in a shitload of unique items that have a lot of different range of lots of different builds. Like make a lot of... Don't have like 5 items that are unique and that's it. Because again, they're making unique items like the end-all fucking item here. That's like the top tier thing you can ever get. So make sure that you have a good range of you know, of fucking what you can do with unique items and make them balanced, so not everyone feels like I have to run that one item because it's broken. It's too good to not run. And make sure they're just balance it. This is something that needs to be balanced very well. Otherwise, it will make the game super carbon copy and everyone's the same thing. It's a cookie cutter build fucking game again. But if they can balance it, if they do balance it, then it'll be badass. It'll be super fun. I just don't want to see every fucking character is the same build, because it's too good not to run that build. That kind of ruins everything. It makes everything else because here's the thing. Here's the thing that can kill a game and make it boring, is everything we talked about with like, oh, rare items can be super cool and unique, and like, you know, they can have these really crazy rolls on them. It's fucking irrelevant if something is too broken that it makes everything else irrelevant. If it's like, well, yeah, sure, you can have like a little bit of things over here or a little bit of things over here, or you can have this like if we're talking about it like a power scale that's curved off of this unique bullshit that's like rigged, you could have like these rare items that give you like 8% power or like 6% power, and then it's like on a graph where they're like their little bars are like super barely visible, and you have a unique item that's just like up to 100, and it's like, why would you ever run anything that is not this OP fucking item? So as long as it's balanced, it'll be good. But that, you know, that's up to Blizzard to not fuck that up, essentially, because adding in shit like this to the game needs to be balanced. Otherwise, it's gonna fuck shit up. But if they do balance it, then it makes the game super fun, because this is another flair of playstyle that you can put on your character. Do you think GR leaderboards is a good or a bad thing? I think that's a good thing. I think that's a super good thing. I think any form of competition is great for the game. The idea of competing against other players is super healthy for a thriving player base that wants to stick around and play the game. I think if you have a game that has zero competition in any way, it's fucking boring after a while, and you don't care, and you just want to, like, you're like, why am I even playing? Just to like kill fucking NPCs? Like, yay. But if you have a competitive aspect to it where you're like, I'm trying to do better than that guy. Well, now why do you play? Because you're trying to be better than your friends. You're trying to be better than other guy. It gives you purpose to play. PoE, they have races. The reason why people play PoE a lot of times, I feel like the hardcore player base who always plays that game, is because they like to race, which is another form of competition. That's what Diablo 2 had as well. It was racing. You could always see who's leveling the fastest, and that's fucking awesome. That's super cool. there is no fucks given about Diablo 3 leveling because it's a joke, the way they made that game. But what Diablo 3 had, the form of racing in Diablo 3 is who can do the highest rifts the fastest. Like, who can get to the highest tiers of rifts levels first. That is what Diablo 3 has, which is its own form of racing. It's fun to race each other and, like, see who can, like, play the game faster. Because you push your character then, and you try to min-max everything, and it makes it fun and addictive. So any form of competitive racing with other players in a game like this is good for the game. It's always good for the game. It's never bad. And if you don't give a shit about racing, well, then you don't give a shit about racing, and you're a fucking casual, which is totally fine. That's not a negative. It means that you actually don't mind playing the game for like 2 hours a day or like 30 minutes a day and just having a good time and then logging off. But if you have no form of competition with other players, if you're someone who likes to play a lot, you feel like you have nothing to do and you feel you're fucking bored. Like, what is the point if you have nothing to do? Because I'm not going to lie, I have friends. I have a few friends that play Path of Exile, and they go fucking hardcore. Like, they literally go to the point to where their eyes are completely bloodshot, and they're like, ugh. They're like, I haven't had a shower in 5 days. Ugh, I'm grinding PoE all day. I'm trying to hit level 100 first. Like, they do that all the time. Every fucking season. And they're always like, I regret this. I feel like shit. But they're so fucking addicted to it when a new season starts because they're so excited to, like, race in the new season that they push super hard for 100, and then as soon as they get to 100, or their character dies if they're playing hardcore and they just kind of, like, they lose, like, a level 95 character or some shit. Like, who knows? I don't know. Once something happens where the race is kind of, like, done for them, or they get to 100 literally, like they actually make it all the way to the end, like the marathon is over, and they kind of, like, their drive to play the game goes like this. It's just like, it goes off, like, they might still play the game, but it goes way the fuck down until the next season starts. So I think that constant competition with other players is a good thing for the game, like health overall for the game. And I think constant ladder resets is really a good system for... I think that's a system that should continue forward in games like this, in ARPGs. They should definitely not take out ladder resets. And if Blizzard said on Diablo 4, there will be no ladder resets ever. Everything you do will be just how the game is. There will never be a ladder reset. I'd be like, what? What the fuck? That's a fucking risky move right there. You should totally have ladder resets because ARPGs can be completed way too fast. And you want to know why ARPGs can be completed way too fast? You could say the same exact thing about World of Warcraft for the average player if this one thing didn't exist. Or games that require things like what World of Warcraft requires. The reason why games that are ARPGs, action role-playing games, the reason why they can be completed so fast is because you only need one person to do everything. You just need yourself. You can do everything by yourself. So if you feel like playing 20 hours a day, well, you can get 20 hours of progression done a day. And you can get the game done super fucking quick. Like, you can get all the way to in-game content really fast and grind the shit out of it. Whereas if you look at a game like World of Warcraft, it's all gated heavily with 5-man groups, 10-man groups, 25-man groups, 40-man groups. And if you're by yourself, you can't do fucking any of it. You literally can do nothing. You just have to wait for your fucking other people to log in. And trying to get a group of people that are just as hardcore as you are that want to play 20 hours a day, if you're that kind of a person, is really rare. Because people have jobs and school and relationships and fucking other things they have to do. Not everyone can play 20 hours a day all the time. So, you know what I mean? I just think keeping players that want to play a lot all day, having them have an access to, like, a competitive format in any way is good and healthy for the game. I think it's nice. But yeah, everything I saw with the Diablo 4 update, my final thoughts. Let me say this really fast. Aqua, thank you, dude. I'll play that again in 1 second. But my final thoughts on the Diablo 4 update for December of 2020. That's good. It's really, I think it's great. I think there's a couple things two things I read in there: uniques and then the rune modifiers of stat thresholds to an ability. Those two things need to be very closely monitored to be balanced. I hope they are, because if they're not, it makes the game way more basic and way less customizable. But overall, I think Diablo 4 looks badass so far. I think that all these changes looked fucking cool. I really liked it. So I'm happy so far with the direction of the game. I think it's gonna be, I hope it's gonna be a great game. And that for me, I gave that like, if I had to rate this a rating out of like 5 stars, I'd rate it like 4.5. What I just read, but 4.5 out of 5. And the only reason why it's not 5 out of 5 is because I feel like there's a chance that this could fuck the game, like these things, the uniques and this thing right here, where it's like you have to have this much invested to be able to have the good thing, and it's like your customization is gone. So, but otherwise, super cool. Balance this shit, and then it would be a 5 out of 5. I'd be super cool with it. Like a 6 out of 5 if they balance it, because if it's done right, it could make the game fucking super cool and super awesome. Because you could make, like, someone else could make, like, you could see some guy run with a build that is just super, like, specific to some way. Because this does increase the amount of possibilities your build could have, because it's another way to actually feel. It feels like you customize. It's just, hopefully it stays that way, where there's multiple options, and it's not just one thing rules everything. But yeah, I like it. It was a good it was a good update. I think it was really cool. I'm super excited to play this game. But yeah. Thanks for... I'm going to make this a video too, so guys who watch this, thanks for watching. Hope you liked what I had to say. And yeah. Anyone who's like, also, for anyone who's like, ViBE, when's the game going to come out? Do you have any idea of that? I would say do not expect Diablo 4 to come out until probably 2022. 2022 would be where I would guess the game would come out. Again, that's a speculation of me and just what I guess. That's not facts that I know. I feel like 2022 is realistic for this game. That sounds realistic. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. Peace.